Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tonya. You are in for a treat today because she and I are both feeling a little bit spicy. And so we are going to talk about setting boundaries with the outside crap that's coming in. It's going to be interesting to see how this conversation goes. So thank you for being here. Make sure you stay tuned to the end. Quick reminder that we do have our Wisdom Within toolkit. So check the description. It's available for you. You can get tools for you to use to be able to dive deeper into these topics. So without further ado, let's get going and really reminding you that if you're done conforming to others' expectations, if you're done suppressing your wants and needs, you're done feeling like life has no meaning, what is the purpose, and you're ready to build a supportive relationship primarily with yourself, you're ready to address resentments and disappointments that come from suppressing those needs and wants, you're ready to transform your life from the inside out, then you're in the right place. We're going to teach you how to do this using a lot of tips and tricks and things that have worked for us, as well as things that we're still in the process of learning. And we're using these practices to support you mind, body, and spirit. So before we go in totally, we're going to set the space a little. Tina, will you do that for us?
Yeah, let's just start by I burned some sage here, so let's just start by just take a deep breath in and just allow yourself to just come right into the present. Just a couple of deep breaths in and just feel yourself here now. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Ready to go. All right, you guys. So before Tina and I hit record, we were chatting about some of the things that have been going on, and we're both pretty spicy. Like we're feeling it. We're feeling this energy. We are like, we're not okay with this and this and this and this that's going on in the world. And really thought this would be a good topic because a lot of people are feeling that as well. And then really start looking at what can we do about it. So let's just start with that. Start with where, Tina, where do you think these things are coming from? Like what's going on that's causing the spicy feeling and the energies?
I think it's a collective thing. I mean, of course, we're the world is feeling very different these days. I know it is to me, and I feel like it is to a lot of us. And so I think it's really in the collective, and we're seeing all these crazy. It feels crazy. It feels like there's a lot of crazy coming out, and you know that we're not used to. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
I,
what I'm feeling anyway.
I am too. And I feel like 90% of the time I have a lot of compassion around that. And I recognize that anytime we're seeing things that we would be like, what the hell, right?
Right.
It's usually coming from a place of wounding, from a place of trauma. And I have a lot of love and compassion from that. But there are some days where I'm just like, oh, hell no.
Hmm.
You've got to be kidding me, right? And some topics and some things. So what do you do when you feel that stuff come up?
Well, I sometimes,
We call each other.
yep.
Phone a friend.
I want to rage about it. And I mean, and there's not a lot that I can do, but the setting those boundaries. So if we can find ways to set boundaries, and we have the news. It feels like we're being bombarded from every avenue. We have our, you know, if we subscribe to the something on our email, or if we subscribe to Facebook. I mean, you get on there or on Instagram, and sometimes the feed is just like you know and so some of the things that I have learned to do is just not watch, you know um and just kind of stay out of the loop on things. I feel like you have to kind of know what's going on in the world, but it's hard to be deep in it, or it ends up, for me, it just takes me down. I'm just like, I get in it and I'm like, oh shit, and I get spicy like I'm feeling today.
I know I can feel it. It's right here and it's like this.
Yep.
It's like flames. Like I feel the spicy.
Yep. And it's like I want to just rage,
Mhm.
and find yeah. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, setting boundaries is the one thing, the biggest thing I think
Hmm.
that I can do for myself, and finding ways to um unsubscribe. Not,
Hmm.
if I see the news, I was telling you earlier, I have a news thing on one of my emails that I'll see the headlines pop up, and then I'm like, sometimes I get drug into them, and then I'm like, oh, what did I do that for, And so it's setting boundaries. It's, on your Facebook feed, if you're getting all that crap on your Facebook feed, unsubscribe,
Hmm.
and, not allow that to um fully not allow yourself to get fully immersed in it, because it does, and then it ends up causing us to feel, so serious. We start getting in that mode of everything's so serious, everything's, and and we need to have that little bit of fun and play and whatever. So,
Hmm. I do, I feel the same. And really, what I want to focus on is what you said about setting boundaries, because a lot of times when we're talking about setting boundaries, we're talking about setting them with other people. But this to me is really setting them with yourself. And it is unsubscribing to the email lists. It's stepping out of those Facebook groups. It is, or even choosing like show less of this or something. Setting your like creating boundaries within your Facebook settings. There's a lot of things there that you can choose, or whatever your social media platform is, so that you can tell it, show me less of this, or like I think there's like an unfollow where you can still be in
mm-hmm.
the group, but you have to actually go into the group to get the information. And that's not perfect. You still get some, but there are steps you can take. And also, I believe in the energetic boundary, right? Where it's like, I don't want to see this anymore. Stop showing it to me, and like setting that out to the universe and then not clicking on. Um, but that's all setting a boundary with yourself, really,
Mm-hmm.
where it's, I don't have to answer this text. I don't have to answer this phone call. I can choose to call them back. Like we give so much of our time to other people and their agenda, which riles us up and makes us feel all spicy. And then the rest of the day, we're edgy
Mm-hmm.
and we're not getting the things done that matter the most to us, when in reality, those I'm choosing if or when I take that phone call, when I respond to that text, will make a huge difference.
Right. And I have noticed that in my life, if I have so I have a few people, there's not many anymore. But I do every so often, I'll have a few people that come into my life, and they'll send me um Facebook, messages. And it's something that I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to talk about. And it is that holding that boundary and being like, okay, I'm not going to respond right now because I am not feeling I will probably say something that's and I'll get wrapped up in all of it. And instead of doing that, I hold off and allow myself, because I'm an emotional generator, right? So when I get those emotional, or I, I tend to react emotionally when if something happens, or somebody brings something into me, right? So I have to kind of take that step back and be like, okay, I have to set that boundary. And since I've been doing that, it's much easier to respond in a way that is not going to spark that fire that we don't want to have
Right,
spark.
right. Yeah. I think taking a breath before, because we see what happens when people rapid respond and they respond in
Mhm.
that space. I have a, I have a lot of value in, like, I have a friend who can just instantly like, oh, you did not just say that. And I can't do that,
Mhm.
And so I really respect how she can do that. But sometimes it's like, slow down, slow your roll, just like what you said. I actually had someone comment on a post that I did the other day, And I saw that comment and it like instantly flared me. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, you did not just leave your shit on my thread. Da, 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 da.
Uh-huh.
And I was getting ready to respond from that space, but I was also getting ready to go to and set up space for this other thing I was doing. And I'm like, okay, no. This is gonna take me a minute. Set this aside, go in, set my space, offered that service, and then I was like, okay, now I'll come back to this. And I read it in a completely different light. And I don't think that person meant it the way that I originally read it. And I'm so
Mhm.
grateful I didn't respond in that reactive moment, even though I was going to be polite, I was going to be respectful, I was going to not show up crazy, but have a really thought out response to it. But it would have been a very different conversation than
Mhm.
when I went back and reread it and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't respond. So
Yeah.
taking a breath is one of the, like, taking a breath, giving it some space, just like what you said, going
Mhm.
back to that later in a different headspace, reading it again can really change so much.
Yes.
So
Yes.
take a breath, pause, respond, allow some of the spicy to simmer before we go back and actually
Mm.
decide. And I think
Exactly.
from that place, you can still absolutely stand up for yourself and your values and what you believe in, but it's a little less emotionally charged, and it would probably even be received significantly differently.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not flaming that fire because or flaming. You're not fanning the
Yeah, I like
fire.
flaming the
Because
fire.
sometimes that's what happens is it ends up being that, you know, keeping it going instead of, stopping it. And that's part of setting the boundary is stopping whatever that energy is that's coming into you. It's setting up that boundary that's going to help you to be in your because we want to protect our own peace, right?
Right.
And that's in our world, we are like I know I am, and I know you are. We are, we want to be help people, right? That's our jobs. That's what we do. That's part of who we are, right? Is always wanting to be those helpers. But in reality, we are those helpers, but we also need to protect our sense of well-being over anybody else, right?
Mhm.
So we have to take care of that sense of well-being inside of ourselves before we even think about how anybody else is going to be affected by it. And and that's part of the people pleasing thing too, right? Because and you and I know both of us, we've talked about this many times. We both have these tendencies to be people pleasers, and we struggle with wanting to help others and not looking a certain way. And if people, putting others' feelings before us.
Mhm.
And when we can um, think of it and and I don't, it's not selfish. It's not anything. It's the way it's helping us to show up in a different way, right? So if we can keep our sense of well-being in the forefront, and it's like I'm thinking of in my mind. So I've had a difficult, or I did have a difficult relationship with my mother, right? And I finally had to stop the uh I finally had to stop talking to her. I could not go and I could not there was no way I could ever have a conversation with her that was not hurtful, was not, you know, and so I had to set that boundary. And what that was me taking care of myself and putting myself first. And we always think, we look at these things and we look at putting ourselves first, and we've been taught all of our life. I had been taught all
Me
my
too.
life
I'm in
that
a similar
it's,
situation,
yeah.
so me too.
It is selfish to put yourself first, right? It's, you got to make sure that those people feel better. You got to make sure that those people are okay. That, if that creepy uncle touches you, it's okay because you don't want to hurt his feelings. We have to worry about those things rather than ourselves. So I was taught that all my life. And when I took that step to set up that boundary with my mom, that was the step, that was me taking care of my sense of well-being. So
Mhm.
I went so in this conversation I'm going deeper than I wanted to, but that's kind of what I'm seeing with our world too. We have so much going on in the world, and we have all this energy, all this collective energy, and all this collective fear, and all this collective
Shit.
shit,
There's
for
no
lack
other
of a
way to
better
describe
word.
it.
And we feel it energetically. Everybody's feeling it. And it's putting ourselves first, taking care of our sense of well-being. So then, because we are the healers, we are the people who are wanting to take care of others. When we can put ourselves first, have that better sense of well-being, then we can put ourselves out there in a better way, right?
Mhm.
So I know I went a whole huge roundabout way on that one, but that's
No,
kind of how I'm feeling with that. Yeah.
yeah, but I love it because what you were describing was, first of all, awareness that this situation, whatever it is, whether it's the situation with a challenging dynamic with a parent or with negative toxic stuff going on in the world, it is first awareness of how it is affecting you as an individual. What is this causing within me? How is this shifting the way I show up for my family, at work, with my clients, whatever, right? It's awareness first and foremost. And then it's like, what do I need to do? Because usually we try to change them, right? There's almost like, I need them to. No, what do I need to do to be able to respect myself, care for myself, so that I'm showing up the way that I want to be showing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that looks like would be different for each person, but really it's taking that step back. It's awareness and then moving back, setting boundaries, and kind of going from there and really redefining what your life looks like, even temporarily, however long it needs to be. But at least I'm starting right now today with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I think that is like super helpful. And we are going to do eventually a topic on challenging relationships with parents and people and all the things. So stay
Right.
tuned for one of those. That's coming, but not today because we are too
Not
spicy
today.
already.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, um, but I think that that's really important. And also when we're feeling all of this, to allow ourselves to feel it. Go ahead and feel angry, feel the spice, feel the whatever it is that you feel without shame, without blame, without it's all their fault. Like, no, I just feel it. Where it's coming from is neutral. I just feel it and allowing that. And then also, um, because I love the shadow work, right? I love triggers because they give me an opportunity to go deep into what it is that's upsetting me. And why is that important? Because it teaches me who I am. It teaches me what I truly value because the things that I'm seeing violated in my values are what's bringing it up, right? Maybe it's freedom of choice. We'll just say that. That's something I very much value. So when I hear and see things that are taking away people's right to choose in whatever area, it there's a trigger. Oftentimes I think the work that we do around shadow work and trigger work is so that we can feel okay about it. No, no. That's programming again. And it's coming usually from people who are going to keep treating you poorly. And they're like, oh, you need to go do the work around this so I can keep treating you poorly. For me, it's really getting to the depths so I have a true understanding of the whole situation so that I know how I feel, what I want to teach my kids, how I want to show up in the world. But it doesn't mean I have to make it okay. It doesn't mean that those things that are going on that are making me feel spicy, oh, well, now it's okay. No, I still have my values. Maybe I can't change it. And that might be something different that I can work on, like the control and the whatever around it. But it's truly being okay with you and how you feel. And even if you're true to the core, don't believe that XYZ is right, Awesome. Feel it, own it, be it. That's kind of how I view all of this with the spiciness. Today. I'm not getting rid of it. It's going to stay forever. Um, but I don't always have to be responding to it in that
Right,
spicy way, right?
right, right. And I like what you said there about with the shadow work and doing the shadow work to not, it's not to be, to make whatever it was that you're doing the work around to be okay. It's to just have a better sense of well-being. And so I really like that. And I just wanted to reiterate that we have these things that have happened to us. We have these things that are going on in the world. We have these things that, and we have our own values, like exactly what you said. We have our own set of values. And, if those values are being violated or something's going on and we're doing the work, or we're going in to do the work. It's not to make all those things be okay. So, if we can, it's it's to go in and do the work so that I will be okay, not
Hmm.
so that those things are okay.
Hmm.
So,
Yep. I
yeah.
have a practice statement, I don't really know what to call it, that I do with my clients all the time. And I call it the purple hair. So it's talking about, if somebody came into me, I don't have purple hair. I used to have streaks in it that were purple that were amazing. I don't have it anymore. So if someone came into me today and said, that purple hair looks horrible on you, like you look terrible with purple hair, I don't have purple hair. It doesn't land. It's like, I just look, I'm like, it doesn't even, it just rolls off my back. Not to be thought of again. If anything, I'm thinking they're nuts and who knows what's going on with them. It's like nothing because it doesn't land because I don't have purple hair, right? There's nothing in me that connects with that statement. But if they come in and they said something different that did resonate, that did, maybe my brown hair or maybe the fact that I have gray, I don't know, it's not really a hair thing, but whatever it is, like if they really said something that got in, it's because there is something there that I think they're seeing in me. That's something that it's picking up some insecurity that I already have. That's when it lands because I already feel it, I already recognize it. That's where I love to do shadow work around triggers, to be able to really go down and look at, why did this flare me up? What is it that's coming up for me? What's that hidden piece there that really does make this resonate? And can I do some work around that to build my confidence to work through the shadows, right? All of that. But if what they said was really rude, it's still really rude. It was just them, that was a jerk move. And I don't have to be like, oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to do the shadow work. No, you're still a jerk. You're being a dick, knock it off.
Mhm.
Um, I don't have to just wipe that slate clean. And I think that's really important to recognize the difference because I know some people resist doing the deep work because they feel that it requires sweeping it under the rug. It requires making it okay. Like even the topic of forgiveness. Yeah, I can forgive someone, but that means that it's all better now. No. So I just love this with this topic of just setting those boundaries, feeling spicy, allowing yourself to feel it, doing the deep work so that you have a better experience.
Mhm.
To me, that's
Yeah.
just what this is all about.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not, as you were talking, I was thinking about the forgiveness thing. And I was at that point many years ago, because you're always being told forgive, 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 forgive. And it was always you're forgiving and you're sweeping it under the rug, and, um, but when you realize that it's forgiving, but it's not, yeah, you can forgive somebody, but what they did is not right, or it was not okay. There's a line there. And I mean, it's like in this world, the way the world is, there's things that are going on that are not okay. But we have to find those boundaries within ourselves to allow ourselves, because like you said, we want to show up in a certain way. And when we're doing all this work, it's helping us to show up in the way that we want. Doesn't mean that everything outside is still okay or the things that are happening are still okay. We're just setting those boundaries to help us to um, be in that better place
Hmm. I agree.
mentally, yeah, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So,
Hmm. And the whole purpose of all of this is so that we get to have a better experience, right? We are
mhm,
here. It's like make the best of the life that you have, but also create the life that you want. And
mhm,
part of that is very intentional around what is consuming my time and not just my time, because I can get on Facebook to do a quick story and get sucked into drama like that,
mhm,
no matter how many boundaries I set, no matter whatever. So looking for ways around that, where, okay, maybe the first thing in the morning isn't the best time for me because I'm not fully awake yet. I'm not ready to put up the shields and like I'm coming out of sleep and I turn
mhm,
off my phone or I turn off my alarm or turn off whatever and here I go. And, maybe I'm going to jump in and post a story first thing. Like, okay, how can I shift that? I can do it later in the day when I'm prepared. I can do
mhm,
so just like recognizing we can set those boundaries that help us
mhm.
create the life that we want. If it's like no Facebook till after coffee, I need to be fully awake before I touch that boundary. I
Right.
mean, like whatever it
Yeah.
is. And I think that that's important because otherwise we end up being controlled by life
Hmm.
instead of us choosing and setting the life that we want.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And that's it. I've had to set those boundaries of just the phone, period.
Hmm.
An hour before I even look at the phone, and I try to do it, but I still haven't quite set the full boundary, but I'm better. I get better and better each time, because it's
Hmm.
like I'm trying to set because just like what you said, you look at Facebook and you're still asleep and you're like, getting sucked into all of that. And it makes you feel a different way,
Yeah.
and I know if I'm intentional with my day and being able to start the day with intention and have these the certain way that I want my day to look, it's going to turn into a certain way that I want my life to look, and it's going to turn into how my life is looking. And then, we have, so it's being that intentional with our uh boundaries and our life and all, I mean, all the things.
Right.
And yeah, so.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. And I feel like it's just practice.
Hmm.
It's one day at a time, setting that intention, following through, and oh crap, I missed it today. Okay, tomorrow is a new day. Start with that intention
Right.
and trust that you're gonna get it.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna be able to set these. I'm gonna be able to shift the way I show up. I'm gonna be able to do these things by little practices one day at a time.
Yep. Yeah. And that's all we can do. And
Hmm.
that's what it takes is those
Hmm.
little intentional practices, every day. And if we get it wrong one day, we have another chance most of the time.
Hmm.
And so we can try again. I can get
Yeah.
it better this time. I can do better, but it's keeping that at the forefront of our mind and always thinking about our sense of well-being first and not everybody else or this
Yeah.
world or this, whatever's going on.
Hmm.
And then so what are some fun ways that you can like, because I know it's kind of a serious topic. We're both, because we're both kind
We're
of
both
in
spicy today.
it. and we're kind of heavy. So but I know there are fun ways that we can move through these things too. And it's, and it's not just setting the boundary, but it's also releasing, right?
Mhm. So some of my favorite ways, honestly, it's jamming out to 80s hairband. I love 80s rock and I it just changes my mood in an instant. I can just put on some Poison and I'm good to go. So that's one of my favorite ways. And then I love moving my body, just going for a walk, getting outside, dancing if I can, just around my house, even in my kitchen or whatever. Um, drumming. I love to
Mhm.
be able to drum. That is something that's very helpful for me with releasing is those beautiful drums that you've provided for me. And to just be able to just drum and do that. It's getting on the phone with a friend and intentionally choosing fun topics. It's playing with my animals, like actually getting on the ground and focusing and playing with them. It all those things help get me out of that
Mhm.
stuck spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of all those things.
Mhm.
And just because we get in these places of like, you know, the stuck spot of we're seeing all this, we're seeing everything going on in the world, we're seeing, or we're in it. And we have, because many of us work in those types of situations where it is all serious. It is all, you used to be in that constantly, right? With your job. And you're in it and you're in it and you're in it and you don't have a break from it. And when you can just take that time, and it's like the intentionality of the drum circles that I do, it's because we take that time to release some of that shit that we're in all day. And we take that time to release, and then we drum, and then we dance, and we just kind of move around, move our bodies. And so those are some of the things that I love to do too, is just walking. Nature for me is like the best thing that I can ever do for myself. Walking outside, being in nature, I don't care whether the wind's blowing or it's raining or it's snowing outside. If I can get my ass out of the
Mhm.
house,
Mhm.
it's like the best thing that I can do for myself.
Mhm.
And like you said, dancing and
Mhm.
drumming and, just play, just allowing yourself to just play because and I know we talked about that in another video. We don't, because you and I are pretty serious. We don't allow ourselves to have those playful times and those fun, just doing. I was at my stepdaughter's birthday party this weekend and just watched the people dancing and I finally got up and I actually even got Joe up and we danced, and
Mhm.
I don't know how to dance, but neither does he, but we just moved and had fun,
Mhm.
and that's all it is just allowing yourself to take that time to play and just kind of, and that's a good way I feel like to release all this shit that's gets heavy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And to attend the event, right? Because
Hmm.
sometimes, like,
Yeah.
even before we, like, we're like, oh, I'm just too tired. I've got too much going on. And we don't give ourselves the opportunity to actually go. And then
Hmm.
once we get to the event, we're so glad we were there. We had all this fun. We got to let stuff go. We're like, oh, this is exactly what I needed. But
Yep.
prior to, we're like, oh,
Yeah.
so it's
Yep.
like sometimes it's getting yourself out, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it. Okay, there is value in saying no if you just don't feel it, but also looking at like, what is it that I really need? I
Hmm.
really need less heavy. That's going to be less heavy. I love the people there, love the thing. Let's just go.
Yeah.
And so almost requiring that of yourself, even if it's a little uncomfortable or a little bit of a push in the moment, especially go, just go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if yeah, like you said, what do I need? If I need a sense of community, how does this community feed me?
Hmm.
And when you're looking at that, is that going to feed me or is it going to drain me?
Hmm.
If it's going to drain me, then I'm not going to go. If it's going to feed me, yes.
Yep.
Push, give yourself that extra little push
Yep.
and attend those things. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we have anything else we want to cover with this whole topic? Because I know
Oh,
we're working on shortening these a little,
yeah.
condensing them some. And I feel like we could go on forever. But
Mhm.
is there
I feel
something
like
more
it
you
too.
want to add to this?
No, I think I'm good.
I think I'm good too. I think we can
Yeah.
run off. I actually feel less spicy just having this
Yeah, me
conversation.
too.
I'm like, oh, I feel a little better.
Yeah, I calmed down a little.
I know, right? Awesome. Okay, do you want to help just like close this container for us?
Yeah, let's just take a deep breath in. Oh, yeah, that's it. Just a deep breath and just,
Let it go.
yep.
All right, awesome. So thank you for watching. As always, please help us spread the word, like, subscribe, comment, share with us if this is helpful. Actually, share with us if you're feeling spicy too. I would love to know in the comments how many people we have watching this saying, oh, I feel it. So
Yeah.
let us know, keep in contact, and we'll be back soon.